Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, back again with Terry and David of the County Road Bobblers Podcast. Today, a bit of a different segment on the channel. We're going for a keep or sell video. I'm going to rattle off kind of pretty much all the names in the squad. We're going to say whether we'd keep or sell them. I think we can throw loan in there as well because there'll be a couple of players which that will apply to. We're not going to go into too much detail about some of the more obvious ones, some of the less obvious ones if we might disagree. I'm sure we'll have a bit of a debate about, but we've obviously got plenty of players to go through. So starting off, potentially with one of the more controversial ones, Terry, Jordan Pickford, keep or sell?
In an ideal world, sell, but we're not going to, are we? Because no one's going to buy him, and when they're not going to buy him for a price that we'd accept. So keep, due to necessity.
David?
It's good. Yeah, exactly the same. We're not going to get the money for him that we need to cover his book value. So yeah, it's going to have to be keep.
Yeah, I agree. Keep. I think the more important kind of transfer business as a goalkeeper is someone to push him, not kind of someone to replace him, really. So we'll see what kind of happens. It might not happen this summer. It might not happen the summer after. We'll have to see how that goes. But so that's three keeps for Jordan Pickford. Of course, for all these players, let us know down in the comments what you think about each one. Next goalkeeper, Jonas Lawson. Terry, keep or sell?
Keep, I guess. We haven't seen him play. I mean, he's another one. Pickford's got a keep with an asterisk, and so is Lawson. He's keep with an asterisk because, yeah, possibly sell him, but then I don't want the club to be looking at goalkeepers when they've got other, important positions to be looking at. So I think goalkeeper's a position you leave alone. So for this summer anyway, keep.
David?
Sell. I don't think, bar the man of the match performance he has, like most keepers do at Goodison Park when they come here for Huddersfield, I don't think there's been enough for me. So I get the money we need from and add into the market to bring in a reasonably priced backup. It might have to be a slightly aging keeper, but someone that can come in with a steady pair of hands, which is a bit of a big task, but they are out there.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to. I'd actually personally sell him. I think if you can get an all right fee from, obviously we signed him on a free, which is what it is. If Huddersfield maybe want him on a permanent, let him go, see if you can get someone else. Obviously we've been linked with Romero from Manchester United, so we'll have to see how that one goes. I mean, we could mention João Virginia, but I'd imagine we'll all kind of agree. Keep him, he's still part of the under-23s, really. Nothing really to go on there. Next up, Seamus Coleman. Terry?
Keep. I think he's got a big role still to play in the squad and in the club. He's clearly one of Carlo's men. Obviously, he's not the player he used to be, but he's not finished just yet. He's sort of reinvented himself as that inverted, right fullback that Carlo's been using in this system. So it's a definite keep for me. But I've one eye on a successor, the same way we had Dean with Baines.
Yeah, I agree. Keep him, obviously, for his influence that he has. Obviously, some people, some McAllisters might even debate that he doesn't have a great influence now and he's not very captain-like. But I'd keep him. David, do you agree?
Yeah, keep him. Same situation as Baines, like was mentioned then. Bring in a replacement this summer and have Coleman as a capable backup.
Yeah, and then next one, I'm not even going to put it up for debate. Luca Dean, we've all mentioned, one of the most important players in the squad. 3 keeps from us there. This is where we're going to bring in the loan option. Obviously, if you want it, Lewis Gibson. Terry, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, loan. I mean, I think that's the plan anyway, isn't it? Loan him out, see how, at a higher level than Fleetwood's, and see how he develops, and then make a decision from there next summer. Simple as that.
Yeah, David?
Totally agree. Keep. Sorry, loan. Apologies. Keep him long term. I think he's a natural player, great left foot. But yeah, he needs the higher level loan to push him that next level now.
Yeah, definitely. Keep him, loan him out, see what he's potentially get him on a championship loan now. Kind of the step up from League One. He's obviously had that year or the half a year with Fleetwood. See what he can do. Someone, again, the next name I'm not going to go into, Mason Holgate. If you've seen our Mason Holgate player review, you'll know we're all big fans of him. If you haven't watched it, be sure to check that one out. Next up, Michael Keane. David?
I think we're going to have to make a decision on this. He's moving. This will be 2 years on his contract, so we're going to have him offer him a contract or sell him. So that would pretty much depend on if we do get another centre half in. I think we may then look to move him on. So it will be dependent. I know it's a bit of a sitting on the fence answer, but if we don't get another centre half, keep and offer him a new contract. if we do, then I think we'll look at getting a value for him elsewhere in the sale.
Yeah, Terry?
Sell, for the same reasons David mentioned about the contract and making the decision. I think now's the ideal time too, because his stock will be high because he had good performances very recently in the last part of the season. I think his value, bizarrely, the players' values going down, his value will actually be higher now than it would have been if the lockdown hadn't happened. So for me, if we're getting another centre-back, obviously at the time of recording, we're still in for Gabriel, and you've got to assume if we don't get him, we'll be looking at other players like that. It's a straight-up decision between keeping Keane and keeping Mina, because there's only one place for that type of centre-back. And I personally would sell Keane for as much as you can and keep Mina, so sell.
Yeah, I'd personally say probably keep, to be honest, unless an offer comes in for him. He's kind of one of those, like, don't actively look to ship him out, but if a good offer comes in for him, you can't really turn it down, to almost kind of protect players like Gibson and Brantway, who we won't want to just throw into the first team straight away and potentially jeopardise their careers. Obviously, kind of maybe the opposite side of this, Yerry Mina, Terry, keep or sell?
Yeah, based on what I said before, keep. Definitely keep.
Yeah, David?
Keep.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's much more. I think he's just a better player than Michael Keane, pretty much. Potentially more injury prone. He's actually played a lot of minutes. There is a bit of a myth going around at the moment that he is injury prone, but he's actually, he's played quite a few games for us this season. I'd keep Yerry Mina definitely. If I was going to look to sell a centre back, it would be Michael Keane, a player that's actually not on my list that I've just thought of. Jared Brantway, of course. Terry, keep, sell, loan. What would you do with him?
Well, it's definitely not sell, but keep or loan. Depends on what the rest of the centre back situation is. I'd be tempted to keep him around and use him because say we get Gabriel for argument's sake. You've got Holgate, you've got Mina, you've got Gabriel, and then the fourth centre back can be Brantwaite. He's on the left side as well, so it'd be Keane and Mina and Holgate for one side, and Gabriel and / other centre back, new centre back, and Brantwaite on the left side. So yeah, I'm going to say keep rather than loan.
Yeah, remarkably, actually, I've just seen him on my list. He's been placed in midfielders on the list I've got off Google. I'm not really sure why they've done that. David, keep, sell, loan?
Keep, yeah. No, just for that very reason, I keep him.
Yeah, I mean, the next name on my list, Nkunku, obviously keep. I mean, we know nothing about him. Literally, he has to spend time with the under-23s, I think, before you even consider a loan, so we'll brush over that one. One that I personally think we should definitely sell. I don't really get even how he's still here, really. Terry, Benny, gimme, keep or sell?
Sell. If he was ever going to play, it would have been after the lockdown when we had lots of injuries, lots of fatigue, game every few days, and the midfield were playing disastrously, and he still couldn't get on the pitch. So, good luck to the lad. I hope he has a good career, but he's not going to make it here. So, I'd say sell.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, same sell. We've got to be ruthless with these things. He's not going to make the first team. We need to start chipping these players off the books. We can't have more do garbage where we just keep them around for the sake of it.
Yeah, some positive signs as well, kind of going towards that. Obviously, we've seen Dowell go to Norwich, which, I mean, I'm not sure how much we got for him. It would have been a lot of money, but kind of Ben and Gimme kind of falls into the same bracket of players that are never going to make it. Could probably sell them to a Championship League One club, potentially get a bit of money. Next up, Terry, Tom Davies.
Sell. I know a lot of people want him to be loaned, but and I think that is more likely than being sold because of other midfielders. We might not want to sell several midfielders at the same time, regardless of quality. But I've been a big defender of Tom Davies, and I don't dislike the lad at all. But I just think now I've seen enough of him to say, yeah, he's not. We finished 12th, and he didn't look good enough for us. So I think if we got a good offer, it's pure profit on the books because he's an academy player. I'd love to be proven wronger. There's not a player in the club I'd like to be, class more than Tom Davies, local lad, Scouser, loves the club and what have you, but I just don't see it. I think it's time for him to move on. So sell, depending on other signings.
Yeah, David, do you agree?
I'm just going to say keep just to set Barry Williams off from the Bobblers. Now, I'd review him in January, keep him for another 6 months, give him 6 months under Carlo, and then I'd make a decision in January. So for now, keep him. But, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying he's good enough at this stage. He hasn't been. Well, I'd keep him, give him that 6 months stay of execution for me.
Yeah, I personally think, I kind of agree with you there, David. I think he should be kind of given a chance to show something, but I do think that should be on loan. I think you give him a year loan. If he struggles at whatever the club he goes to, you sell him. I'm not sure if we keep him around how much more he's actually going to prove to Ancelotti. I'm sure he's seen more than enough of Tom Davies to know that he's not a brilliant footballer. I'd personally loan him somewhere, see how he does there, then kind of make a decision on him after that. Next one, Gabamin, I think we'll all agree. Keep. I mean, obviously the Phantom signing, he's played 2 games this season. I don't think we can make an assessment on him. Next up, Terry, Andre Gomez.
Keep. I think he's not the perfect player we thought he was. I think he's struggled at times this season, but how could you possibly hold it against a player when their foot was pointing the wrong way in November and they were playing again in March, April, or earlier, wasn't it, February? But yeah, definitely keep. He's imperfect, but he's still our best midfielder by a street, I think. Best on the ball, best vision, best passing range. Just don't ask him to tackle because he can't do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's another player that's kind of fallen victim to. He's been asked to do something that he's not a player that he can do. Kind of, he's been asked to be an energetic midfielder, and I think Gomez, out of the kind of the 3 almost kind of scapegoats of kind of the lockdown, really were with Gomez, Davies, Sigurdsson, who kind of came in for some of the most criticism out of any players. I think he's definitely the best, and I think he can fit into a 4-4-2, but he just has to have energy next to him. So definitely keep him, see what Gabamin's like next to him, potentially even bring in another kind of energetic midfielder to go into that role. But out of the 3, I'd definitely keep Andre Gomez. David, do you agree?
I keep with a caveat. If we get the book value back for him at sell, and there's for a 4-4-2, I think there's better players out there. He's not a bad player. I do like him as a footballer, and I think he's been unlucky with the injury. But I think he's one of the few where it's keep with a bit of an asterisk next to it. If a big, a sizable bid comes in, a decent bid, I think we will be tempted to move on with a pat on the back. And I thank you, Andre Gomez.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but I also personally can't see literally anyone bidding for him recently, especially since his injury. I can't see any bid coming in for him this summer. But potentially, obviously, as you mentioned, if it's very good money, potentially move him on. But personally, keep. Next man, bane of my existence for the past kind of weeks, months. Gylfi Sigurdsson, Terry, keep, sell, discard. Get rid of him. What do you want to do with him?
Shoot him out of a cannon. Just at this point, yeah, he's a definite hard sell, isn't he? Like anyone comes in for anything for him, massive wages, doesn't contribute anymore. He used to, fair play to him, he used to be one of our most important players, but that was a full season ago now, and it's been dreadful. So sell.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, 100% sell. He doesn't fit the system. Don't know where to play him, and you've almost got to, customise your whole game to fit Gylfi Sigurdsson into the team, and I think he's on the wane anyway. So yeah, 100% sell.
Yeah, completely agree. Sell him, get rid of him by kind of any means necessary. It's the classic phrase, I'll drive from there myself, but as far as players go, he's top of my list for that. A player that kind of, I definitely don't think any of us will sell. Ellis Sims, he's on my list. We might as well mention him. Would you kind of maybe just to loan him now? Obviously, he featured on the bench once. Would you look to loan him or kind of keep him on the under-23 setup, Terry?
I'd sell him. I think, you don't want to keep them in the under-23s too long because they might go stagnant. I think you need to get them promoted to the under-23s, and if they stand out, then they need to go out and play men's football as quickly as possible. I'm not an expert on the development of players, obviously, but I'd be looking ideally to get him a loan to see how he does out in the League One, top of League One, Championship maybe. Whether that's his level, I don't know. But yeah, definitely loan.
Yeah, absolutely. David?
Loan, yeah, 100%. I'm not a massive fan of David Unsworth and the way he develops players. I think that we need to get some of these young lads. If Unsworth's staying there, I think we need to get some of these young lads out on loan in competitive football. he's a natural finisher. I've heard a lot of people talk him up. And the other thing we could consider is maybe selling him with a buyback clause, like Barcelona done with Jerry Deulofeu. And then, if he does go out there, proves that he's, a good footballer, we could then buy him back and invoke that buyback clause. So it's something else to consider rather than having a lot of players on loan on the books. But yeah, no, in principle, I'd loan them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I also think we should actively be looking to loan him, not kind of say if an offer comes in, loan him. I think you should be offering him to clubs. Basically, he's at the point now. Me and Terry have waxed lyrical about this, the under-23 system, how it really just doesn't work anymore. Got to get to a certain age, loan them. If they're good, keep them around. If they're not good, try and just move them on. But we're not, obviously, this isn't an under-23s video, but I'm sure you'll be able to find plenty of our discussions about that. Kind of moving on now away from the youth system. Bernard, I personally think is a bit of an interesting one. People have certainly got some views on Bernard. David, I'll come to you first. I'm not really sure what your views are on the player.
I love Bernard as a football player. I like the fact he can take the ball tight in positions, and he's a bit of a different type of player. However, he just hasn't had the output. I'm not seeing any signs that he's going to increase that output sufficiently, and I don't think Carlo trusts him. He tried to play him off the right for a bit, didn't really work. He hasn't really trusted him to play on the left a lot of the games he's been in charge. And also, consider it's 100% profit if we do sell him. I think it's going to have to be a sell. And I think, unfortunately, as nice of a footballer as he is, I don't think he should be here for the long-term future, really.
Yeah, I agree. Seems like a nice lad. Can't really do much. He was definitely exposed over lockdown. Not a good. He's a tricky player, but he doesn't fit into the Premier League kind of way of playing at all. Terry, do you agree?
No, I'd keep him. I mean, I obviously don't think. I think on a spreadsheet, it's going to be a no-brainer. Sell Bernard and keep Iwobi. But for me, I think Bernard's a much better footballer. I know he's on higher wages and he's not got as much, sale like market value. But I think he's a much better footballer. I think he's been out of form. I think he's not given a good account of himself since Carlo came in. And he's not like a world beater, he doesn't move the needle enough for stats. He needs to improve that. He doesn't score enough for his ability. He doesn't assist enough for his ability. However, I do still think he's a very, very good footballer and a good player. And I think his biggest contribution to the team is how much he helps Luca Dean. I think, our most creative player, our biggest outlet for chance creation, he assists him a lot. So if you think, I know it's a lazy comparison, I'm not talking about it in quality, but certainly in mould, Pienaar didn't get the stats either. Pienaar didn't get a lot of assists and a lot of goals. Say he's got more than Bernard, I'm sure, but how many did Baines get when Pienaar was playing compared to when he wasn't? I think Bernard's that type of player where his value is more to how much he affects other players in the team when he's on form. So for me, it's a keep.
Yeah, I do want to kind of see him in that kind of, and he played it a couple of times, kind of the left winger role where you kind of move more centrally, which Gordon definitely picked up a lot in the restart. So, I mean, I agree with both points, to be fair. I think he's really struggled. I think he's struggled, especially over lockdown. But as you mentioned, Terry, players can go through bad form. Maybe not a player we're actively looking to sell. But again, one of those, good bid comes in, we need money. I'd say potentially move him on if there is a good bid. If not, don't actively look to ship him out. But,
I think if everyone was on the same money, he'd be a lot safer. But the fact that he's on big money makes him more vulnerable, I think, is the main thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Next up, personally, no-brainer, keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Terry?
Yeah, keep.
Yeah, David?
Keep, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, another simple one there. Another, I think, fairly straightforward one again. But potentially, some might say, might benefit from a loan next season, especially depends on who we're bringing in. Anthony Gordon, Terry, keep, sell, loan. Well, not sell, but keep or loan.
No, keep, definitely. Keep him around, let him develop. Use him as he has been being used here and there. Don't overexpose him. Try him in different positions. I think he's an exciting player, and just manage him properly, which we never did with Tom Davies, the last player to break through.
Yeah, I agree. David?
Yeah, 100% keep. You've seen how much Foden has come on. He hasn't had to go out, he hasn't had to go out on loan necessarily to improve. Pep's put him under his wing, used him, as Teddy says there, sparingly in the right times, in the right positions. So yeah, 100% keep him. Let him learn under Carlo, and he could be a fantastic asset moving forward.
Then kind of the man we've already touched on a bit. Polarises opinions, I think, more than most players in the squad. Terry, Alex Iwobi, keep, sell?
Keep, because he is a young player. He has still got upside. I don't think we've seen what he can do yet, because let's be honest, he's had a stop-start season. He got the injury. He's been played in different positions. He's been bought for a formation we no longer play. So he won't have acquitted himself and shown what he can do at this point. No, I'm saying keep, not because I think he's going to suddenly turn it around, but I'm saying we're not. I'll put my house on the market for £1 if we get an offer in for Iwobi that meets his book value in this market. It won't happen, so it's an asterisk keep because, like Pickford, we're not going to sell him, so we might as well try and build him back up to sell him in the future and get our money back for him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see him as a player of particularly high ceilings, but I can say I don't think we've seen the best of him so far. Whether he's going to become a world beater, I really don't think so. But could just become a player who's kind of useful in the squad. He's not the end of the world. He's not an awful footballer. Struggles kind of coming out on that kind of right midfield position where he does have to contribute more defensively. So we'll have to see how he goes. I'd almost say he'd probably prefer to play off the left, coming into the middle, than he would off the right. That's probably even exactly how he might have envisaged his development coming in, kind of under Ancelotti's system. Obviously, he's been put on the right kind of since the restart. Struggled a bit, had a good game against Norwich, kind of in the early days, and that was kind of it. David, your opinions on Iwobi?
Yeah, keep him. Especially if we're moving on Gylfi. I quite liked the fluidity of changing to that 4-4-1-1 in a particular type of game. And if Gylfi's going out, which we all want to, Iwobi could actually play that kind of 10 role in a 4-4-1-1. We haven't seen the best of him. I think he's done specific roles in certain types of games where he's played a lot deeper to benefit the side. We will see an improvement out of him without a shadow of doubt next season, and then let's review it next summer.
I think it's almost commendable that he has been willing to kind of change position. We've seen players like Gylfi Sigurdsson, if he's not playing in the number 10, he's not playing at all. Is effectively his motto. I think it's a good sign. Iwobi's happy to play off the right, offer more defensively. So we'll have to see how he develops. Next one, Terry, Moise Keane.
Oh yeah, definitely keep. I think he's in a tough first season, but I still think there's a lot more to come from him. I think his price tag hurt him because a lot of fans thought we were getting this new superstar player, but even he said when his first press conference, set himself a low goal target of what people felt was low at the time. He's a kid, he's a baby, he's got he's still learning football, he's still learning, he's in a new country, new team, everything. I know these are the points that everyone touches on, but he's only going to improve, and I think we'll see much more from him next season. So keep.
Yeah, David?
Yeah, 100% keep. We've seen him in the lockdown. I struggle with them battle ropes at the best of times, and he's doing that. He's doing that at midnight in the water. He reminds me almost of what DCL done 12 months ago, and DCL's had a huge season this season. He seems to have got his head down. He's working hard. I think Marco Silva didn't know how to use him. He didn't suit one up front, and then he struggled in that system, as did a lot of players. The best thing that could have happened to Everton Football Club is Carlo Ancelotti, and it's also possibly the best thing that could happen to Moise Keane. Italian manager that he'll no doubt respect has come in, and I can see him getting the best of him next season. The abilities that you want out of a centre forward in the Premiership is that he's big, he's powerful, he can hold defenders off. He's got pace, he's got all that in abundance. For me now, he should be setting goal targets, 7 or 8 goals next season. Get him on the pitch more, and that will contribute to. We need plus 25 next season, in my opinion, to be where we need to be. And I think he can contribute 7 or 8 goals towards that target of where we need to improve in goal scores. Yeah,
I absolutely agree. Definitely keep. I'm not even going to say it. Richarlison, keep. I doubt there's literally anyone. I think you'd struggle to find anyone that would want to sell Richarlison. I don't think any of them are here though. So we'll move on from that one. Cheng Tosin, Terry, keep, sell, loan him potentially again. What would you do with him?
Sell. He's 29 now, is he? Or he's about to be 29, and he's going to be the fourth choice striker. And I don't think he'd do that badly in a 4-4-2, but he's a sellable asset, and he's too low down the pecking order of strikers to be worth keeping around. I'd like to see him sold, but not because I dislike him as a player. I just think the circumstances dictate that it's probably be the best for him and for the club for him to be sold. So I'd say so.
Yeah, I agree. Sell him. I think there was a rumour today the quote fee somewhere around 10 million wouldn't be the end of the world. Obviously, sign him for a bit higher than that. He's obviously massively dropped off. He came back from Palace early because of his injury. If we can ship him for 10 million, I completely agree. Sell him, David. Do you agree?
Yes, 100%. I think Fenerbahce have just sold a striker, or in the process of selling a striker, for 16 million euros to Lazio, and are looking at Cheng Tosin. So we may well get that. As you say, not the feedback, but we'll get his book value and maybe a million, 1 million or 2 million more. So yes, 100%. Yeah,
I agree. And then kind of the final player of my squad players this year, we do have 4 loan players, which we'll get to. But the final player, Theo Walcott. Terry, what do we do with Walcott now?
Keep him. I think he's lucky that he's the only player who fits that right-hand side position. I think that if there was another right-hand side midfielder, naturally, I think he'd be on the sell list, just because his abilities, it is what it is, but there isn't. So he's the only player who fits that position until we buy another one. So he's definitely on the keep list just by virtue of that for me.
I
agree, David.
Yeah, we're not going to. He's got 12 months left on his contract as well, so we're not going to get a significant bid. There's no really benefit to selling him at this present time. So as a backup right midfielder, when we do get a better player in, 100% at this time, I'm going to keep him.
Yeah, definitely keep him. Make a judgment on him later as to his contract. I'm not sure if I'd renew it. To be fair, you might renew it if you can't find too many more right wingers. Really, I personally wouldn't. But it just depends kind of what their opinions are on squad depth. I don't think he's good enough to really be part of the squad. But at the moment, we have no one else who is a natural right winger, as Terry mentioned. I personally wouldn't extend his contract. But the club might. We'll have to see how the season goes, really. But the club might even do it purely for depth. I personally wouldn't. I think David was shaking his head there. I think he agrees that he wouldn't extend his contract either. Terry, would you extend his contract at the end of this year?
I wouldn't, but I think they will. I think what they'll do is they'll give him that Baines sort of deal where if they bring in a right midfielder to replace him, whoever that may be, and they settle, even more so if they don't settle, but if they settle, I think he'll get one of those 1-year extensions, or maybe 1 year with an option of a second year on probably reduced terms, because I believe he's on quite high wages as well. But I think they'll keep him around as experienced professional squad cover. Would I do it? No, I'd like to see him moved on and us to move on to someone younger and really remodel the team. But I definitely see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. If I was making those decisions, as some people in the comments of a recent video thought I was, I wouldn't extend his contract. But I can see the club potentially doing it as a squad option. Now on to 4 players. They've been out on loan. 3, I think, are pretty obvious. 1, we might debate. First of all, he gives out shirts. Clearly, big fan of the old Twitter. Terry, Yannick Bolasie, what do you do with him now?
Sell him. I'm sure Inter Milan will have him because Lukaku likes to have him around, doesn't he? So, and they seem to like washed up Premier League players as well, like the Ashley Youngs of the world. And
you Victor Moses.
Yeah, so I'd sell him. It's not worked out for him at Everton. The injury came at a bad time, and then the manager switched around, and the club have already made it clear, haven't he? He's training with the under-23s, and he's for sale or for loan. Yeah, I wouldn't keep him around. I obviously know he's got on a lot of people's good side recently, and fair play to him. Seems like a nice fella, but I just think as a footballer, it's his time's past in this Everton team.
Yeah, I agree. He seems like a nice bloke, but it's clearly a very easy thing to do. If you're not in favour with the fans, what do? You give them a bunch of shirts, you talk to them on Twitter, that goes a long way, apparently. I still don't think he's a good enough footballer. David, do you agree? Yeah, 100%. It's not the nice guy competition. We need to be ruthless as a club now, moving forwards. Carlo Ancelotti, I'm sure, will be set the bar high, and the days of us being, too nice to some of these players and keep them on for too long, I think is gone. I think he's a cracking fella, been really unlucky. His career could have worked out totally different, if he would never got that injury with us. But it is what it is. We are where we are, and we've got to look to move him on and probably be loan, and then his contract will dwindle out. But good luck to him, cracking fella.
Yeah. Then the next one, the deal that seemed like an almost no-brainer at the time. I think most of us feel quite stupid for that now. Sandro, really struggling in the Premier League. 5.2 million. Everyone was like, "Oh, can make plenty of profit on him." I think we might even make a loss on him now. I'm sure some Spanish team might pick him up. He's been on loan to a couple of them now. Sell him for me, Terry, David. Are we all in agreement? We selling Sandro now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear an argument to keep him. Let's be honest, not me.
Sandro's own parents wouldn't be able to give you that argument to keep him.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely sell. I think it'd be interesting to see how much someone buys him for, because 5 million is still very low. Obviously, we've paid him God knows how much money in the past couple of years to do absolutely nothing. But we'll see how that one goes. He's going to be they're going to look to sell him. I think that's guaranteed this year. Mohamed Besic, Sheffield United fans like him, for the ones I've spoken to anyway. Everton fans like him, not a brilliant player though, really. Terry, keep, sell, loan?
Sell. I mean, I was always one of the fans of Mohamed Besic, but that was years ago. You know what I mean? It's like Balassi. It's got injuries at the time, at a bad time, and that's high turnover of managers when he wasn't when he wasn't at the club and when he wasn't playing. Yeah, it's to sell, isn't it? I mean, not a bad player. Don't hold any ill will against him. He's certainly not as bad as some of the other players we've had to get rid of, but he's got no future here, so sell.
Yeah, David, do you agree?
Yeah, not good enough, sell.
Yeah, he's not good enough for us. Could be good enough for maybe even a lower Premier League team, and they're the kind of players I think we need to be cashing in on, really. That's how we're going to raise the funds. We're not going to sell kind of the big hitters like we've sold in the past, like Lukaku, your Barkley, who are going to bring in more money. We need to kind of make up our money now from the deadwood, effectively. I think the final player on our list, maybe the most disputed player of them all, Terry, Jonjo Kenny. What do we do with him now?
I'd sell him. Because I think when we come to replace Holman, I don't think it'll be an outright replacement this season, but certainly by the start of next season, I want him replaced either by someone who's brought in now and is given time to bed in, or a new player, that summer. And I think we should be looking at someone who's better than Kenny. I still think Kenny's a decent player. I still think we should get decent money for him, and he'll probably, have a Premier League career if that's where he goes in this league. But I want to write back Luca Dean. I want that type of player, that level of player to come in and make that position their own for the long term. Don't see that being Kenny, so I'd sell. Yeah,
I agree. David?
It's in an ideal world, I'd keep him. Financial fair play wasn't a thing, but the 100% value is going to appeal to us. He's good in a lot of areas. He's not great in any, but he's a nice young Scouts player, and I like having them in the squad. I like having them in the side. Like I say, financial fair play wasn't a thing. I'd be looking to keep him, but it is. So I think sadly that's going to result in Jonjo Kenny being sold.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Very appealing prospect to the club, making money on a player that obviously has come through the academy. I'd sell him now. I think he's another one of those players that I mentioned are all right, but in a time where we need to make money to improve the first team, not just the squad, I'd be looking to move Jonjo Kenny on. So there you have it. I don't think I've missed any players. I really hope I haven't. Obviously, I'm sure the comments will let me know if I have. As well in the comments, do let us know all of these, all the players. Keep, sell, loan, ship them off to Iceland, whatever you want to do with any of them, basically. So let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, thanks to Terry and David for joining me. Be sure to check out all their social media, all our social media, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.